Good day everyone, I'm JD and welcome to my channel. What am I looking at here? What am I looking at here? So on the right hand side, what you're seeing is pure torture. This is what this is, pure torture. So I'm a pocket watch and watch guy, and there is a gentleman, very nice gentleman, who is a member of the local society of clock and watch collectors, and he said, hey, you're pretty good at this pocket watch stuff. How'd you like to take a shot at untangling a hairspring? I thought, no. That was the first answer. No. Then he said, but I think you'd be really good at it because you've got the ability to do very meticulous work on pocket watches and watches, so you should be able to do this quite easily. And then my second thought was, no way. And then he said, well, I think you'd be very good at it. How about I just drop it off and you have a look at it and see if you could do this? And I'm like, in my head I'm thinking this is not going to be good. And then I thought, well, you know, I'm a sucker for challenge, so I said, yeah, okay, you can drop it off and let me have a look at it and we'll see what kind of a problem we have. So let me just get a close-up on this and let's have a look at it here. So there's the guilty hairspring. As you can see, this thing is totally forked. See how we kept that nice and clean? I'm not even sure if it's magnetized. It kind of doesn't matter, does it? But it's in hurting condition. Let me see if I can center this a bit. Oh, left, right, right, left. There we go. And I'll just hold it flat for a second so you can see what that looks like. There we go. So it's pretty much not chewed around here because it's all over the place, right? And then if I look at it sideways on, you can see it's also bent downward, right? So that's kind of nasty. So the first thing I need to do is kind of bend this up and then try to make all of the coils go around in nice spiral concentric circles or spirals. So, and the thing here to do is actually to start at the collet and work your way outward, and then see if you can get the gaps between the different leaves of the hairspring the same. So I'll call them leaves, but anyway, the different as it spirals around, the gap should be the same going around. And this attaches mechanically, very mechanically, to this clock type movement. So I'm going to give this a shot this morning. I don't think I can videotape this because I got to go under the microscope to do this. I don't think I can do this without getting in deep and dirty on this. I'd like to be able to take this hairspring off first, so I may widen the collet and just get this out of position. I'll make note of where it ends, but it might not matter. So because it's got to be kind of not recolleted, but it's got to be wedged back into where it is on the clock. This is like a tough job, so I'm going to try it out, see what I can do. It's multitudes of tweezers, and you start from the collet and work your way around the circle, and then see where you're at the end of the day. So I will take note of where the collet position is. Maybe make a red mark of where that crack is, so that when it goes back on, I can deal with that. So, but the first thing is I need to take it off of this this balance and the balance staff. So, and this balance is a very old clock balance. So anyway, this was a challenge. It's going to be a little bit painful. It's not something I actually wanted to do, to be very honest here. But I'm a sucker for punishment, I guess, and somebody asked. And I'm also a sucker when people tell me I'm good at something. They say, hey, why don't you do this? You're good at this. I'm a bit of a sucker because my head is a bit too big and my ego is outthinking my brain. So you should always sit back, say, okay, what is this going to do for me? And in this case, it was actually going to do something for someone else. So I said, yeah, okay, occasionally I'll do some charity work here, and this is absolutely charity work. So So away we go fixing this. I figured I'd make an intro video and I'll make a video at the very end showing what it looks like, success or failure. But anyway, the first thing to do then is to get this thing relatively flat before I start, and then I'll start working at the collet, going around in circles until I get this get it spread out. So I'll also check it for magnetism and see if there's an issue there before I start. So thanks for watching my channel. It's if you want to get a hold of me to do any work, I do work on vintage pocket watches. It's a jdwatchservice@gmail.com. I was looking up rates for watch service, and I looked at this vintage pocket watch restoral company in the U.S. And let me just look at my phone for a second because I copied their rates. As I said, I do this as a hobby, and sometimes not sure what to charge. But the basic CLA, they call it, full service clean, lubricate, and adjust, does not include complications or chronographs, etc. And that's for a vintage pocket watch that's 1920 and later, right? And they are charging, and they are a business, $360 to do that. So $360 US. Now, if it's a pre-1920 pocket watch, these guys are charging for the same stuff I do, $400 US. Now, you might recall that some of the work I've done where I've replaced hairsprings, I've replaced mainsprings, I've fixed jewels. Just fixing a jewel on a watch for them, if replacing a jewel, is $190. So one of the watches I replaced 4 jewels, upper jewel, lower jewel. So if I were to make money at this, I'd have to reconsider my rates. But right now, I'm doing it as a hobby and I'm doing it for fun. And I think the people I do the work for appreciate it because they know they're getting a deal and a half. So anyway, I'm going to have a look at my rates to make sure I'm not screwing myself. So anyway, I probably am. But please subscribe to my channel and share it with others. And let's start working on this. And click the bell and you'll get notified that you're going to get another video. So I don't have any jokes for today. I did have a good joke the other day. It was something to do with my wife wanted to buy a duck pillow, but she couldn't afford the duck-filled pillow, but she couldn't afford the down payment. Anyway, thanks for watching my channel. I'll catch you on the flip-flop. See you later. Bye. So I've marked the position of the collet for this beast in red, and now I've got to just put my screwdriver in the gap. I already twisted it a bit, that's why it's not completely lined up with the red. And I'm hoping to be able to just put a little bit of pressure on this and then just rise the collet up. I'm not sure how these clock guys do this, but I figured I'd just go walk it back and forth until it comes up. So this is like watching paint dry. It seems like it's kind of just sitting there, and if I were to nudge it from the side, and I know the hairspring is no longer in the way because it's kind of screwed, it's pushed down, right? If I push this upward a bit, I need to do this. I need to get some grip on this darn thing and then walk it up. So I think I'll just have to go in one direction here and just keep seeing if I can put upward pressure as I'm twisting the screwdriver, because that might get it out of there. Who knows? Who knows? Actually, it seems pretty loose right now. Come on, baby. I'm just nudging it up. There we go. And then I will put it onto a tack for now till I can figure some of this out. There we go. Now it's just sitting on a tack, and I can start looking at these concentric circles. So I'm not sure whether I have to pin this down while I'm doing the work, or whether I can do it on the tack, or what. But I can tell you right now it's not flat, so it's going to need some work from that perspective. So I've done a little close-up on the microscope, and I noticed that the collet is actually cracked on this thing. So I know I didn't crack it because I put almost no pressure on that. I just sort of shifted it, so it looks like it's cracked ever so slightly, which means I cannot use this collet. Alrighty then, so here's the end result. I worked my way around, and I think I've got it pretty darn good. There's a little shadowing going on there, so it doesn't show the true spiral as being even, but it's pretty darn good. So I think that might actually work. Now the issue I have here is that, as you can see if I can point to this here with a screwdriver. Did I get that? Yeah, right here. I go in right there. I've got a crack in the collet. You see how that collet lifts up? So I've got some options here. I think I might be able to solder that collet and then ream the soldering joint and then put the resulting collet in there. So I'm not sure if soldering a collet is going to work here. I've never done that before, but I might solder this collet and see what happens. So stay tuned. I'm going to end this video now. So basically working my way around the spring from the collet going outward and then bending it. And if you want something to lift one way, you twist it and you keep playing until it's basically in the right position of the spiral. So didn't know whether I could do this one or not, but I did do it. So there you go. So that's this watch. I got to get my big soldering machine out now, and I think I'm going to try to solder this and see if that works. But anyway, thanks for watching my video. I wish I could do a technique here one on this, but I need to do some kind of a close-up and figure out how to do it. So trial and error is what you need here. This is get a couple of old hairsprings there and then play with them, and you'll see which way the spring goes. Usually it's if you want to do a bend, it's a 90-degree thing. So you 180 or 90 depending on which way it was. So if you want to widen the spring at the position where it's narrow, you end up going 90 degrees to that, and then with holding it with the tweezers on one side and then twisting it just a bit on the other side. So you can milk the spring. You hold it on one side, then you milk it outward or milk it inward on the other side. So with the other tweezers, as opposed to just grabbing them and twisting it. And that's usually the best way of doing it. So now I'm going to clean the old hairspring with a little bit of lighter fluid. So just put the lighter fluid in there. You don't need much. I got Rossignol lighter fluid. Don't smoke while you're doing this. And I need to clean this before I solder it, because I don't want this thing to be dirty. So I'm going to just let this sit for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, just to get the gunk off of it. And then I will dry it off. It should dry pretty fast, but I'll put it on watch paper, dry it off, and then I'm going to get the soldering machine out and do some soldering of that collet. See if that works. Alrighty then. So now I take this out and put this on some watch paper, and I just let it move it around a bit. So let me focus this up a bit. So just put this on watch paper and then move it from one position to the other on the watch paper, and that'll help it dry nicely. And after I've done that a few times, get out the old puffer. The old puffer. This is the old puffer. These ones I find are the best ones to use. I have that green one that I have. That's a vintage one here, but this tends to get kind of stuck. It's stuck here, and I'm not sure how to lubricate it or what, but kind of gets a bit stuck. I like it, but see that? This works really well. The spring is officially gone. So anyway, so I like this classic, works well. There you go. And just have to hold this with the tweezers like that while you puff away. And don't puff too aggressively because you'll bend the hairspring. So there we go. I just want to make sure that the area I'm soldering is going to be nice and dry. So, and I know that I think I'm going to have to ream the hole because the collet probably won't close properly. So I'll try that out. And if I put solder right where the crack is, then I might be able to use, I have a collet closing tool, and I might be able to use that tool to actually close the collet. So let me just get rid of that fuel. I don't want to have any of this stuff, residual stuff, sitting around while I'm trying to use a soldering machine. Another note, I didn't show it, but I used my demagnetizer to actually demagnetize this hairspring because it seemed like it was a little stuck together. So held it sideways and then moved it up, rattled it and then moved it up a bit. So there you go. All right, here's my evil plan to fix that cracked collet. So I've got a small, basically a dial foot. I think this is brass maybe, or copper rather. So piece of copper. I'm going to flatten this out on the end, and I'm just going to solder that right where that crack is in the collet, and then I'll clip it. It'll leave a little nubby maybe on the end, but I don't really care. So and then I'll just flip the collet over and do the same darn thing on the other side, and that might keep the collet. It might strengthen the collet. So we'll see if that works. I've got to flux that very carefully. I'll probably use my jeweler's stuff to flux it because it's so small that it's going to be kind of precision soldering too. So this is my evil plan. So let's see if this works. So for this soldering machine, it's made for dial feet, but we're going to see if this works because I have no other choice. But there we go. So that's screwing in the I'll call it the anode. There it is there. It's basically like the core of a battery, right? So I'll just be touching the leg in the bottom, and that'll melt the solder on. So, and I've got soldering paste and I've got flux. So flux is necessary. So I just got some old flux. And then my soldering paste is right here. And I will use this, trying to get some kind of a look at this here. There we go. Expires May 2019. That's why it was on sale, I think, from Amazon. So I'm going to just apply some soldering paste here to the part. Now I'm going to apply the flux. This is my flux from the Great Canadian Metal Flux Company. It's I'll show this to you after. Anyway. So I've got my flux right here. This is the edge of it here, and I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of flux here and add it to the part, and right where that crack is. Again, I'm not sure how well this will work. I hold the part down with my tweezers. And all I'm going to do is put that paste in the bottom of this rod here. And that's the rod I flattened out from before. Now I think I've got it set up here, but I'm not absolutely 100% positive, so let's just see what happens here. Alright, everything is on. All systems are go. I'm going to flip this on and pressure down a bit. and see what happens. There we go. Turn it off. And there's an off switch on the side too. I'll hit. Put the cover back on the anode so I don't hurt it anyway. And then I'm going to lift this up and see if it sticks. There we go. Looks like I got a connection there. I'm not sure how strong it is, but it's soldered on. I just have to examine it really closely and see if it's good to go. Alright, there's the solder joint. So pretty good actually. It didn't look like it's gone into the collet, so the collet's still free. And it also doesn't look like it actually touched the outer hairspring. So it's also free there. So all I need to do is take my clippers and clip the end of that, and that should be fine, right? So if I just put my hand underneath here, and I'm able to clip this off, see if this is possible here, under camera as well. Right? I'll put that for brave. And I don't need a lot of that, I just need a little tiny bit of it in the end, so I'll clip it pretty low, and then there we go. Hairspring just took a jump. And I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, there it is. It's a little bit of a wart on top of that piece, but I'm going to, now I've got to ream out that hole to make sure that there's no, that the actual collet can go back onto the staff without a problem, right? So that's the next trick I'm going to do. But that might be it for the video, because I've fixed the collet, and installing it on the clock and stuff like that is not really, I may or may not be successful, but I think this is what it was, a pretty good little adventure, and I just had to make sure that the dial foot, I'm only going to solder it on one side, because if I flip it over it might not work, so I think that will hold. And when I use my what are they called, I want to increase the size of the hole there, so I've got my cutters, or I can't remember the name of it, man. Anyway, so I'm going to use that reamers, I think, and ream that hole out, and then we're good to put it back on the staff. So might fit on the staff right now, who knows. There it is, sitting on top of the staff, and obviously the opening here should be on this side. And again, I'm not sure if the diameter of the hairspring is absolutely accurate, even though the leaves of the hairspring are nicely separated. I'm not sure if the diameter is accurate yet, so, but I've got to take one of my reamers. I'll show what they look like here so we don't get confused. These are them here, and there's various sizes, and I just need to take one of these and somehow hold on to this thing here as I ream out the hole for it. Might figure out how to do that with another device I have standby. So as you can see, what I did was I was able to remove that leg, and it looks like the solder is remaining right in that place there, so I think that might hold nicely. So effectively using that metal rod to apply the solder to that position. So that's cool stuff, man. Not sure if that's enough to hold it, but that's not bad. So now I'm just going to place that collet back onto the part here and see if that line up the crack with the red part. And if I look at the actual movement itself, this is the movement here, and it looks like the hairspring would be driven through this way upside down, right? So it would have to go this way, so spiral around counterclockwise from the bottom, which means it would be clockwise from the top. So I got to put that in back in clockwise, if you see what I'm talking about here. There's the clock. There's where the focus is here. There's where the hairspring, get my loop out of the way. There's where the hairspring goes in right here. And then this balance goes through here, kind of upside down. And then that would make the, this is the balance here. And just grab this with thicker tweezers. It would go in like this, like that, this way, which means when I put this hairspring on, it's got to be going that way, which is counterclockwise. So when I'm looking at it from the top, I got to put it in clockwise. Ta-da! I also need to close the hole on this just a bit, and I'm just hoping when I do that the solder joint stays in place and doesn't crack on me, because it might. If that's the case, and I really want an adventure, then I'm going to need to make myself a collet. Which I could probably do. I don't want to do it, but I could probably do it. Trying to make sure that this collet just sits into that space nicely here. Like so. And then I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on it as I close this up. And now just check and make sure that the collet is in there. I think I probably lower it just. No, that's good there. And then just close this by turning this and watch what's going on here. Okay, I close the collet, and I'm not sure if that's going to end up fitting on the shaft here without sliding to the bottom like it did the first time. Just going to move things around just a bit here so you guys can see what I'm up to here. There we go. And I'll just throw that on and see what happens. Like I said before, I'm going to try to line up the crack with the thing here. So that is on there, which is nice. Now, how far down it has to go is a complete other guess. So I think I might want to return it just like this. And say, okay, I've got it on. And I've got enough pressure on, but someone else is going to have to figure out how low it goes. Oh, there we go. Slid down into place. I think that's probably good there. Alright, there's the part. I'm not going to install it on video. So, but there it is. There's the hairspring straightened up with the collet on there. Soldered, ready to be returned. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to go